welcome back. We just had a load come out of the Lotto tumbler, so we've got a barrel free. So we've got a mixed batch of some stuff that we're going to get going in there this week. This is a piece of quartz that my daughter found on the playground. That's all ready to go. I got a big piece of chert, something we found locally. We're going to get that. That's all ready to go. Let's see, we've got some more chert in here. We've been tumbling some of that, and a lot of it's finished up. There's some more of the chert that we are going to run. And let's see what else we have in here. We've got some green adventurine. Some of that has some fractures in it that we're not going to be able to get rid of, but it's all smoothed out and no flaws on it, other than the fractures. Another little piece of chert. I don't know what this is. I think it's just chert. Kind of got some neat stuff going on in it. Got a piece of Mexican crazy lace. Get my finger wet and you can really see the pattern on that. We've got some red jasper. We've been tumbling a lot of that lately. And then we've got a little bit of desert jasper. There's another piece of crazy lace in there, and some unakite and some tiger eye, and just a lot of different stuff going on in there. So we're just going to load all this stuff in there. So that's the stuff I wanted to make sure I got in there. And then we've got another basket, or another tote here of some tiger eye and some unakite and some amethyst. There's a little petrified wood and some other things. A little bit of labradorite in there. Some more red jasper I see. So we're just going to use this to kind of fill it up a little bit more before we put in some ceramic. Have a nice mixed batch here. And then I think we'll throw a little bit of ceramic in. We may throw some more in on the tumbler, but I can definitely put some more in right now. All right, we'll probably run with that for now, and if we need to add some more ceramic after it gets rolling, we'll do that on the tumbler. So I'm going to get the water dumped out, and we'll get it set up on the Lotto, and we'll get it going on medium grit. Everything is wet with no standing water, and we're going to do medium grit. I do it in a kind of a two-stage deal with my medium grit. I do a tablespoon for a day or a day and a half, and then I'll dump it, wash it, and then do another day, day and a half with a tablespoon. So we'll get that going 1 tablespoon. Our mixed batch is done with the 120-220 cycle, and I rinsed them and put them back in with some borax and ran a couple-hour wash cycle on them. So we're ready to rinse them off, see how they look, and we'll get going to the next stage. This batch has got a lot of different colors in it. Looks nice. Everything looks real good. We got a bunch of red jasper and some chert and some tiger eye I see and unakite, all kinds of good stuff in there. I'll go ahead and clean the barrel up a little better and rinse through the rocks some more, and we'll get them washed up, and we'll get set up on the tumbler, get going to the next stage. Everything's cleaned up real well, and back in the barrel, everything's wet. We're going to get going on 500 grit aluminum oxide, and we'll do a tablespoon of borax and a half a teaspoon of the 500 grit aluminum oxide, and we'll go for another 3 days. This mixed batch ran for 5 days, or 3 days, I'm sorry, in the 500 grit aluminum oxide. I dumped them and washed it all out, and then put it back on the tumbler with some borax for a few hours just to run a little wash cycle. We'll rinse them all off again and take a look at them, and we'll get them moving on to the next stage. This batch has got a pretty good variety in it, a lot of neat stuff, and there's quite a bit of stuff in here that we actually found rather than stuff that we bought, so I always like that stuff a little better. But we've got some big pieces of chert and a piece of quartz there and a bunch of other stuff. So I'll go ahead and wash everything up a little better, wash the barrel up a little better, and we'll get set up on the tumbler and get going to the 1000 grit. Okay, everything's cleaned up really well, the barrel and the rocks, and we're back in the tumbler. Everything's wet, no standing water. We're going to do 1000 grit aluminum oxide. We'll do a half a teaspoon and a tablespoon of borax. And we'll go for 3 days. We finished up 3 days on the 1000 grit aluminum oxide, and I added some dish soap and a little extra water, and it helps clean the slurry off. And I already rinsed them all off and put them back in with some borax and did a little wash cycle. So we're going to check them out. I'll let a couple of them dry off and see how they're looking. We'll get them going into polish stage. Everything looks real good. I'll clean them up a little better and get the barrel cleaned up better, and we'll get set up over on the tumbler and get them going and polish. Alright, I let these 3 dry off. We got a piece of green aventurine. It's looking pretty nice after 1000 grit. And then we've got our big piece of chert. It's kind of got some bands going on in it, a little bit here and there. It's looking pretty shiny already for, if I said 500, I meant 1000. And then 1 piece of red jasper. And it's looking pretty darn good. So everything else is loaded back in there. We'll get it going. We'll do half a teaspoon of the aluminum oxide polish and a tablespoon of borax, and we'll go another 3 days. Made it through 3 days of polish, and I added some dish soap to help clean the slurry off and rinsed everything all up. Put it back in the barrel with a little borax to do a little wash cycle, and everything's ready to go now. We're going to clean them up, see how they're looking. A lot of pretty neat stuff in here, because a lot of stuff in this, not a lot, but some of it is things that we found rather than bought. So it's always a little more exciting when it's something you found rather than bought. Everything's looking nice, but it always looks good wet. So we'll go ahead and pull all the rocks out of the media, get it all separated, and let them dry up. And we'll take a closer look at them. Well, our mixed batch is all dried off, and we've sorted out all the ceramic media, and everything's looking really nice. Everything took a real good shine. There's a lot of variety in this batch. I was really happy with some things, and a couple things I wasn't so happy with, but for the most part, everything turned out real nice. We'll move the camera to the side, and we'll be able to take a closer look at things and get it to focus. There we are. So we had some green aventurine in here, and this stuff took a good shine, and it did real good, but there's some flaws in it that you can't get rid of. Or some fractures, I should say, that are with the transparent, semi-transparent. You can't get rid of those fractures. So you got to live with some of those, and they all have a few. I guess I could have ground them, or cut them, or tumbled that a long time. I could have got that one out. But there's some faint ones through everything, but it's got a good shine to it. Turned out nice. Even with it being a mixed batch, and there's probably a little variance in hardness in this batch, but everything still turned out really nice. I'm really happy with that. And there's a few more pieces of green aventurine here that we'll look at. They've all got a fracture here or there. I don't know. I might try to cut some of them up or maybe grind some of them before I do more. But they still turned out nice other than the fractures. We had 1 piece of petrified wood that was in there. It's like agatized wood. And that usually has some fractures from what I've seen. It's pretty common. It's got that one at the bottom, but it shines up really nice. Had a couple pieces of crazy lace in here. That one's got some pretty cool bands on it. Little red going on there. And then the other one's a darker piece. And it's a pretty skinny piece. There's not a lot there, and it had a lot of fractures through it, but it's got really cool design, or really cool pattern in it. That crazy lace is just something else. We had a few pieces of chert that we picked up locally. There's one that I think could possibly be petrified wood or agatized wood. I'm not sure. This one here is the one that I'm debating. I don't think it is, but it's just got some, I don't know, it might have like a banded iron in it or something. There's one band in there that didn't polish as well. Kind of has that iron look to it, but maybe I'll throw a magnet on it, see. But I don't know what it is. Something we found, and it looked like it would take a polish, and it did. Turned out nice. And then we've got this piece. This has got a pretty cool pattern on it. Something else that we just picked up. Looked like it might take a shine. Doesn't have real cool colors or anything, but it did shine. I kind of like the little pattern on the back. Looks pretty nice. And then we had this great big piece that we found. I kind of like, I don't remember what side, this side. It kind of almost reminds me of a little bit of like banded chert that I've seen like in this area here. And I think it's chert or flint. It's got some fingerprints on it, but it definitely shined up nice. And then we had a piece of white quartz that my daughter brought home from school. And it shined up good. It's got some fractures. A little bit of a, I don't know if it's iron staining or whatever turns it yellow like that. Or orange-ish. But it turned out nice. Took a good shine. We had quite a bit of red jasper. And it all turned out pretty nice. Kind of got some yellow in it. Some other things going on. Some of these are pretty nice pieces. Guess I missed a flaw on that one, but you'll have that. I have to do a little bit closer inspecting on these sometimes. You don't notice some of that stuff till after you're done. And then there were some desert jasper. These three pieces are desert jasper. And they've kind of got some cool colors going on. We've got some more of this that we're doing all rotary. But these pieces weren't quite done to go into the barrel when I had enough to fill the barrel to finish them in rotary. So these ones got to go in the lotto. So we'll compare the lotto finish on these ones to the rotary finish on the other ones when they get done. Nice little blue stripe on that one. And that one doesn't have a lot going on, but took a good shine. Polished up real nice. And we've got some Unikite in this batch. We had a few good sized chunks of Unikite that we just cut up. Just a tumble. The Unikite's got some, I don't know if you'd call it, they're not fractures, but they're like almost voids kind of in it, where it doesn't polish to like a mirror shine. It's got some little pits in it here and there, but that's just kind of all the stuff that I've had. That's just kind of the nature of it. It all had it. We had a pretty good amount of tiger eye in this batch. A little bit of regular gold tiger eye and a couple pieces that were, one of the pieces I'd gotten kind of switched from gold tiger eye to blue tiger eye, like in the middle of it. So some of it has a little bit of blue to it. And some of it's just gold. But that stuff shines up so nice. And the chatoyancy of the light flickering in though. One of my favorites when I very first started tumbling. Because I'd never seen anything like that before. So those look real good. And I think, for the most part, we've looked at a little bit of, here's another piece of chert that we did. Something we found locally, picked it up, thought that might shine up, and it did. Not too much excitement with the color or anything, but it turned out shiny. So that's a pretty good glimpse of most of the stuff that we had in there. There's a few more pieces here and there, but a lot of it's the same with the red jaspers and the Unikite and all that stuff. So I'd say that this batch was a success, and I've got to sort through it now and get it all put away. So if you liked our video, go ahead and give us a thumbs up and consider subscribing so you don't miss any of our other videos. We've got a lot of neat stuff coming up. We're just waiting for the time of the tumbling process to complete. And it's a slow process sometimes. So thanks for watching.